It paid off.
We have landed the fish. Joining us right now on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline, Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop, is NBA writer for the AP, Brian Mahoney. Brian, friend of the show, thanks for joining us as always, Brian. It's much appreciated. Cattles Ramie, Sactown Sports here. Let's start with Tyler Herro. Looks like he's going to give it a try tonight, Brian. Can he change this series in any way, or is it just too late and Denver's too good?
I think it's possible. I mean, I think it's unlikely given the length of the layoff, obviously. But, you know, he does the things that Miami's struggling with. I mean, he's a shooter. He can spread the floor for them a little bit. So someone they have to guard, obviously. So I think it's worth a shot. I wouldn't rule it out that he can actually make some kind of difference here.
Is it when you say some kind of difference, I came into this series, I think, giving Miami more of a chance than most people. But at this point, I'm resigned to the fate of the Miami Heat, and I don't see how Miami pulls this out. Do you think they still have a chance to come back from down 3-1?
Not to win the series. I mean, I think they can win another game, maybe. But you know, the thing about the NBA Finals or any series, obviously, when you've watched now 4 games, you can tell when one team is markedly better than the other team, and that's the case right here. You know, they may not win every game, you know, but they're not going to lose 3 in a row. They're just better than me.
Brian Mahoney with us here. Brian, let's jump to the rest of the NBA. So Dame Dollar publicly talking about teams he'd play for. I know, CJ McCollum, I believe, came out late last week saying this is probably the last we've seen of Dame in Portland. But there are reports that Portland's looking to deal number 3 in Anthony Simons to help Dame. What would you do if you were the Blazers in this spot?
That's a good question. Obviously he's an icon there, and he's still a great player, still an all-star, an all-NBA kind of guy. You hate to trade a guy like that, but at the same time, there's no move. I don't think that they can bring in another guy and say they're going to be a title contender. So if there's a chance to make a home run kind of deal, and you have to say goodbye to him, I certainly think you have to look at it. It's getting late now to think there's still a chance that they're going to win a title with him.
Is there one particular or specifically good fit when you think about Dame Lillard and the options that we've heard in terms of possibilities where he could end up?
Well, I mean, obviously, when he says Miami, I mean, that would be a great fit. As we mentioned, starting out, shooting is a real problem for them. And he'd be fantastic in that role. Put him aside Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. And I think they'd be a title threat right there. We see how far they've gotten now without that. So, if that kind of thing happened, yeah, I could definitely see where that would be a great move for both sides.
Brian Mahoney writes for the AP about the NBA. He joins us right now on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Brian, I've been talking about the new CBA that's going to be hitting next summer. It's not going to affect this year, but with that impending new CBA and some of the restrictions on teams that spend a lot of money, do you think that could cause some action this offseason as teams try to straighten out their books?
It's going to be interesting because, it's all so new that I don't even know how the teams have figured it out yet. As of recently, I'm not sure if that's changed. They still didn't have every detail of the document yet. It was still being written. So, there may be some panic where teams realize we have to make a move now because, this is going to be more of a penalty than we thought with trying to keep teams together and things like that. So it's certainly going to have to keep an eye on it. Right off the top, we think of Golden State, obviously, with, having to pay Draymond and Jordan Poole. We look at Boston with possibly a Jaylen Brown extension kicking in. So these are teams that are, title contenders, which may have to look even harder than previously at whether they can keep a group together.
It obviously just takes one when you're talking about a guy trying to get his money and finding that right team. But do you think there's a market or a bidding war coming up for a James Harden? Because I look at the price tag associated with him, and I just couldn't invest that in that guy and trust that it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not anymore. I think there would be some interest at a number. He still obviously puts up good stats and still part of a winning team, but at the money he's going to want, I don't think so. He's got a lot of miles. I mean, he's a guy for a long time, played almost 82 games. He's played a ton of games. So, I don't think he's got a long time left at the elite level. So I would say probably not a high bidding war for him anyway.
Another team I'm fascinated by, Brian, is the Clippers. Both Paul George and Kawhi are extension eligible. Of course, they've had their injury problems, especially Kawhi. What do you think Steve Ballmer and the Clips do?
That's another team I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on because, you say, okay, we need one more guy and we're going to win this thing. I mean, this is a team who a lot of us thought going into the season was maybe the best team in the West. At the same time, you say, for the money I have to extend these guys now, they're never healthy. They haven't played long enough. So can I really do this? Obviously, Steve Ballmer can afford to do whatever he wants, but at some point, you have to say maybe this just isn't the time for this anymore. So I'm fascinated which way they're going to go. I would hate to break it up before they really had a real shot at it. But again, it's not like they've had 1 year. They've had 3-4 years and it hasn't happened yet. You have to wonder if it ever will.
Let me bring it around locally here to the Kings. As you were watching this team and they came up short in their series with the Warriors, what do you think is missing with this Kings team? And do you see it out there on the free agent market in one or maybe a handful of guys?
I don't think there's much missing. I really like that team. I mean, playoff experience was probably the thing that, hurt them the most. This was their first time doing it, but obviously an elite point guard. You have a great center, some good wings. I don't know if there's a lot missing. I mean, maybe another big body inside. That I think every team kind of would like that. A stretch four who's bring some power, but there's not a lot that I look at and say, I only saw them a few times in person, but every time I'm like, this is a really, really good team, and I don't think there's a ton that any kind of huge moves they have to make.
Brian, great stuff. We appreciate your time, my man. Let's do this again soon.
I hope so. Thanks very much.
Thank you. There goes Brian Mahoney again, NBA writer for the AP. He was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. The Clippers are just, they fascinate me. Like, what do you do? I mean, Kawhi it doesn't look like Kawhi can ever be healthy again. I would hope because he's one of the best players in the league, but
I want to see it happen, but I don't have the highest level of confidence or faith that it will.
He couldn't get through the postseason, man. Like he just, after all the load management, he still couldn't get through the playoffs. And you're looking at two guys who are making tons of money.